Then I added a layer of black and another layer of Doritos. Off those Doritos goes another layer of onions.
We'll just give it 3 minutes. So it'll start at 6:03. So grab a drink while you get ready to go. Has anyone got some interesting stories from the weekend they want to share? Anyone doing anything exciting?
I got a new job.
Did you? Where at?
Like within football.
Okay.
It's just helping out with like the e-train you kind of stuff.
Congrats. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks. I spent the first day today, helping out some people, so it was really cool.
Very good. That's good to hear.
Hi Matt, sorry I'm late. Computer took a little while to start.
That's all good. We don't start on time here. You should know that by now, Hannah.
True.
We are going to get started now. Can everyone see my screen? Just with like one person to say yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Beautiful. Just get rid of them. So, welcome to our first Premier League meeting. This is going to be a regular occurrence, and it's going to vary each month. In future months, we might have guest speakers, guest presenters. Other weeks, we might have going through videos from games. Obviously, we've only had 2 matches of the round so far, so there's not many games available to watch. And if I'm honest, not much happens in either of those 2 games, so it's hard to create too many videos out of it. But this is just a general update, so we're all on the same page about what's going on in Premier League and how we should be enforcing everything and just keeping on top of things, general trends that we're seeing, everything like that. So what we're going through tonight, so a couple of general trends. Again, I don't watch every game, so I hear things from people, I hear things from referees, from clubs, from players, and they've all got opinions. They're not always going to be correct, but there's opinions. We're then going to go through working with assistant referees, enforcing the laws of the game correctly, and then the appointments process and a couple other quick reminders. We will be done by 6:45 as well, so we won't go for too long. Something that's been popping up quite a fair bit in the first 2 rounds, well, 2 to 4 rounds now, is there's a fair bit of dissent. Some people are dealing with it, some aren't. So it's really essential that if we see dissent, whether that be on the field or off the field, that it's reported and dealt with appropriately. So if you have dissent on the field, you've got cards, you've got communication, you've got ways to deal with it. If it happens before or after the game on social media, when you're out at the club at night, it's important to deal with it and it's important to report it correctly. Examples are players or ground officials or club officials coming into change rooms after the game, they're allowed to ask a question. That's all good. We know what football is. They're allowed to ask a question. If they step over a line, it needs to be dealt with, it needs to be reported. If you've had incidents in the first couple or any game, and you go, oh, I don't really want to have that team for a couple more weeks, let me know, and it'll be fine. So if I've had some issues with them, and I don't want to see them for a couple of weeks, tell me, because then I'll be able to get you off those games, and you won't have to be put in those uncomfortable situations that you don't want to be put in. So yeah, just ensure that if you have an issue with a club, let me know. Don't go, oh, it's all right. I'll go back there 2 weeks, and then it's not a good. Like, you're obviously going to go back to that club, but you don't want to be doing it straight away after an incident. Deal with dissent early, so don't let it get out of hand. I've seen games, not this year so far, but in past years, where the dissent has started going a bit overboard. We need to deal with that straight away, and it needs to happen from this coming round. We don't want to get to round 18. We don't want to get to finals where there's going to be a heap of dissent, and we have to deal with it. We want to be dealing with it hard straight away. And it's really not acceptable to have dissent from the benches. So that includes the 7 subs, it includes the 4 team officials, includes the blue vested marshal. We need to deal with that dissent. So if a coach is giving you crap, deal with it. You've got cards. You can communicate with them. There's ways to deal with it. The key way that I really want to emphasize is the steps theory. So the steps theory, it's good, it's really good, and it is steps, but you don't need to go step by step. So just because you give a free kick doesn't mean you can't also give a yellow card. Just because you give a free kick and you've already given them a quiet word doesn't mean you can't skip straight to red card. The key to the steps theory is building a set of stairs and a clear communication and expectations. So there's some techniques to ensure that players conduct themselves in this way, and using the steps is how we can do that and set these boundaries early. So think about it this way. So the first time, there's no offense, no signal, so you're not dealing with a player. A player gives away a free kick. A player gives away another. Sorry about that. Blacktown Wi-Fi just dropping out on me really quickly there. It's good. Can I confirm that we can see the screen again?
Yeah.
Yes.
So where was I? So free kick and a quiet word. So you give a free kick and you have a word to them on the side. You go, mate, come on, calm down, be careful. Free kick, they do it again. Have a public word. Talk to them. Everyone knows. You're sort of giving them a last warning, and it's very clear. So you call them over, you use your whistle, you use your voice. Next one, yellow card. Next one, everyone does this differently. So you can use the captain. You might go, captain, this is their last warning. Personally, not really my go-to. I'd prefer to just have a bit more of a quiet word and say, come on, I've already given you a yellow. This is your last chance before you get sent off. And then you may need to send them off. This is very effective for dissent as well. So the way I see it, they dissent the first time. It's just maybe a come on ref on the side. Just let it go. They say it again. Deal with it then. Don't let it get to they've done it 5 times and they're about to call you a effing whatever. Deal with it early and use a steps approach. Revenge tackles is something that I've seen more and more of. What does a revenge tackle look like? It's pretty much where an attacker believes they've been fouled and they have not been, or you have deemed that they have not been. And so all they then want to do is get their opponent back. You see it, I'd say in all age men's, you see this the most. A player thinks they've been fouled because maybe they've been pushed a little, and they go, okay, I'm going to kill this person who just pushed me. It's important we recognize this and we deal with it and we're very aware of it. So if we see this happening, there are ways that we can deal with it. Can anyone give me a suggestion? So you've just seen an attacker, he's got pushed slightly, it's not a foul. And then you turn and you can see he's got what I'd describe as red mist or steam coming out of his ears. What could you do to try and prevent him then trying to kill another player and then have to get carded?
I just use my voice and say, don't do it, and sort of be close by to prevent it from happening.
Exactly. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm
There's
with
another
Jason.
easy quick one.
Who have we got? Jack, were you talking there?
Yeah, voice is the most important thing, and always watching back play. I mean, it's not always possible to have eyes at the back of your head, but use your ARs. So go look, just say Tommy, can you just watch back play on that one? So communicate with your ARs, but also communicate with the player if you see them out of the corner of your eye, and go, Roy, nothing silly, and you tell them, look, there is no foul, and nothing silly if you see the red mist, and then you can go on. But then also communicate with your ARs to make sure that they don't then follow through, because quite often it's the running pass to stick the elbow out and cheek shot them in back play, which they like to do.
Yep, without a doubt.
As an AR, normally I like tell them where the issue.
I've lost you, Hannah.
Sorry, normally I try and let them know that they're causing a problem and they need to stop, just to try and cut it out before they escalate it.
Yeah, definitely. Zelko, were you trying to say something earlier as well? All good. I think what Jack touched on and Jason is you've got to recognize it. So if players don't feel that they're being recognized, they think, oh, so this guy's allowed to just cheap shot me, and so I'm just going to do it back to him. If you recognize it and tell them, I've seen it, or be careful, calm down, don't do it. Things like that, players recognize. Not all players are very smart, but they can recognize things like that and go, okay, the referee has seen something. Sure, I don't agree with it, but I'm not going to go try and kill this person now. And try and prevent it. You're not going to be able to prevent it every time. Players are players. Just because you tell them to do something certainly does not mean that they're going to do what you told them to do. So try to prevent it. If you can't, you need to deal with it quickly and carefully. I'd say revenge tackles is what leads to melees 70% of the time, let's say, is the players are going in there and then they're always going to go harder. They're always going to try and kick that opposition a lot harder. So you need to deal with it. You need to be in there. Have a presence. So be 2-3 meters away. Tell them, I've got it, I've got it, I've got it. Stuff like that. And then history. This is I didn't know if I should bring this one up, but I'm gonna just discuss it really briefly. There's currently a lot of difficult games in PL1 due to the history between teams. You guys are on the ground. You've been there a lot longer than I am. You're out there every weekend. You know about this history. I don't know about it. If I hear about it, I'll let you know. I'll tell you that. But try and recognize before the game if there's going to be history. I don't want to target it, but Pons Marion grand final last year, there's obviously history there. There's going to be history and we go out there and referee it. Doesn't mean you need to referee it differently. Just means you need to be aware that something could be happen and something has happened in the past. More than ever, I'm seeing PL1 games where it's like, wow, okay, this is going to be a really tough game because there's issues between these clubs. And again, you don't need to change your refereeing style. You just need to be aware of it and be prepared.
Like consist of players moving to other clubs, and then the other like a revenge tackle could also be considered for this as well, for the history.
Yeah, exactly. And instead of revenge tackle, I'd say maybe just general revenge they're trying to get. So they're going to be the ones who keep getting chops late, or they're going to be the ones who are getting pushed on corners or whatever.
That follows through all age groups, regardless of if it's prems or not. Like, it just continues through the whole clubs and everything.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of players move clubs and that happens. So trying to be aware of it from the start, and you're probably going to sense it from the start. I mean, I haven't had the personal experience, but I've seen it where before a game, one player's just moved, but the other team doesn't care. So they're bantering. They're happy. Like they're not mean to each other. They're friendly. They'll have a chat. But then you'll see other clubs. It's like that person's the worst person.
World War III.
There. Exactly. World War III, worst person who's ever been there. I'm just trying to recognize that as well. And then dealing with player injuries. So player safety is really, really important. And it's important that we exercise that appropriately. So if a player could be seriously injured, stop playing. So really be careful that if there's a head injury ever, if there's ever a head injury, stop play immediately. Make sure they're treated with. so again, I want open it up. What is a sign that a player is seriously injured? What do you look for as a referee?
Like after a head clash, after a corner or something like that, they've gone up for a head on, maybe cop head on head, like, and maybe even a straining elbow, like head related stuff would be a major.
Definitely. So yeah, those 50-50 challenges.
If they're bleeding.
Bleeding.
Unresponsive.
What was that, Zelko?
Unresponsive.
Unresponsive. Perfect. What else? I'm thinking of one general thing.
If
My-
they're on the ground.
What was that, Luke?
If they're on the ground.
On the ground, yeah, so that's half of it. The other half I say is a player verbally expressing they are in pain. If a player's hurt, you're probably going to hear them. They're going to be like, whatever. They'll be saying words, you'll be able to hear it, and that's when you know there's a serious injury around. And then so use common sense. So if you think a player could be seriously injured, it's better to stop play than it is to let them keep playing, and then they're injured. I was watching my girlfriend's hockey game the other week, and they had a really good umpire on, but there was an incident where one of the players on her team went down in a head collision, and she was out cold. She was in a really bad state, but the umpires went, "Oh no, we're going to keep playing because there's a chance down the other end." And I was like, "No." So that referee instantly lost all respect from players, and they're not going to be gaining that again from that umpire because they didn't deal with a serious head injury that could have, it could have caused long-term damage to her. So little things like that. So common sense, player safety is really important. However, we need to use that common sense to determine, is it a slight injury? Is this player just sort of making the most of it? The most common example is cramps, especially at the end of the game to the team that's winning. If a player is cramping, it is not a serious injury, and keep playing. So
Can
that's
I ask a question, Matt? Sorry.
Sharon, yeah.
Just on that. If a player is down and then you continue play and the player goes back up the field where the injured player is, when do you actually stop it if they go towards the player that's on the ground? Like, how does that work?
Yes, I guess
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, so as in they're sort of slightly injured, they're cramping, and then the ball's moving
Either
towards them. Is that the
Yep.
question? Perfect. Yeah,
correct. Yeah.
I think that's common sense, and again, that is player safety. So if a ball's coming towards them and 20 players are about to run over them, that is when you let's stop it now, guys. And players are going to complain. They're always going to complain, no matter what you do. So yeah, player safety in that situation, yeah, stop it.
Just
Take
use
care.
your common sense. Yep. Yep.
Exactly.
Cool. Thanks.
And we also do need to remember we're not playing in the English Premier League. We're playing Blacktown Premier League, or we're playing Blacktown football. So player safety is a lot more important here because these guys, they've got to go to work on Monday. And you hear players say, "I've got to go to work on Monday." It's like, they're not playing as professional footballers. So it's about recognizing that. So working with assistant referees, so moving on from general trends, does anyone else have a general trend that they've noticed in the first 2 to 4 weeks of play?
From ours.
Yeah.
Not really from like the last couple of weeks, but from last year. Like normally in offside calls, any team, regardless of what it is, they'll be the first to scream and yell and throw their hands up if you make so much as like a singular offside call. But I don't really know what can be done about that because you're just adhering to the rules.
Yeah, it's one of those things, you're enforcing the laws. If it goes too far, that's when it becomes dissent. So dealing with that dissent, and it's on the referee, it's not on the AR in that situation. It's on the referee to go, guys, calm down. The AR's there, they've made the call. So you're working together, I'd say there. Anyone else? General trends?
They suck at throw-ins.
They suck at throw-ins. Can't disagree with that at all. I've seen.
My little sister is 9 years old and can do it better.
Yeah, that's fair. Awesome. I'm gonna move on from that. The general trends then. Working with assistant referees. I'm kindly joined by Zelko as well here, who's listening in. Down at Blacktown Football Park. So working with assistant referees. So this is directed at referees, this part of the presentation. So before the game, ask them about their experience and judge how they can help you. So if it's their first game on Premier League, you're going to need to help them more. That's a part of life. That's a part of refereeing. If you know that experience going into the game, you're going to be more prepared. Because you don't want to go out there and 20 minutes in, it's like, oh, the AR's got not as much idea as I was hopeful for. So trying to establish before the game what their experience is, and if they are experienced, use them. Don't if I was your AR, don't be like, okay, Matt, don't call any free kicks, just sort of stand there and call outs. Use your ARs if they're there and judge how they can help you. Give them clear instructions. So before a game, tell them exactly what you expect of them. So as a referee, with my ARs, I would tell them, do not flag for penalties. That's simple. Do not flag. I don't care who you are, how experienced you are, do not flag for them, as in put your flag and wave it up in the air. I never want to see that. But I would tell the assistant referees before the game that, because I would want them to know where they stand. Again, using the experience, do you want them calling fouls? Do you want them helping with subs? Do you want them whatever? Clear instructions before a game can make a huge difference while working as a team. And then let them know what you expect from the game. So if you expect a really fiery and quick game, let them know before it. Be like, be on your toes, Matt. You are going to be running a lot today. Just let them know, say what you think the game will be. During the game, encourage them to talk to you on the comms. 1 second here.
Get out.
So during the game, encourage them to talk to you on the comms. So you've got comms, use them. So you more experienced guys, you're going to be working with younger guys and girls. Encourage them to talk on the comms because that's how they learn. That's how they get better. And if they're just standing there on the sideline, not talking, not doing anything, they're going to be bored out of their minds. So use them, encourage them to talk. Even if it's not productive talk, tell them why it's not. So if they're going, oh, the clouds are very blue today, just like, Matt, don't need to hear that. Focus on the game. Little things like that. Ask for their input. So last week we talked about handballs and how ARs can help. Ask for their input there and say, in certain situations, go, Matt, whose throw do you think that is? Matt, do you think that's a free kick? Use their input where you see fit. And feel free to coach them as you go and tell them what you expect and what you want from them. I know as a AR myself, if my referee doesn't tell me what they expect from them, I'm going to be like, oh, what do I do? So yeah, coach them throughout the game. There's nothing worse as well if you walk off after 90 minutes and you're like, oh, I didn't want you to call offside. Tell them that throughout the game, oh, in that situation, I want you to just keep talking to me. So coach them through the game, and that's how they're going to be better in the future. If they're a 14-year-old now, they're going to be 18 in 4 years. They could be doing these Premier League games as well. So if you coach them, you help them out, tell them what you expect, it's going to be a better experience for everyone involved.
Hey, Matt, to add on to that.
Yes,
I
Brendan.
I know from my experiences, that has helped me significantly, like what you just said, like them coaching you through the game. I know from my perspective, it's helped me a lot through different referees telling me what they expect, even people telling me to shut up on comms. I learnt a lot from it.
Exactly.
I've never done that, Brendan. Never.
Jason, never have you?
And looking through this group, there is so much experience in this group. If you can pass that on, it's essential to making everyone's refereeing experience better. Sorry about that.
I think it's hands up if you haven't told Brendan to shut up on the line.
I think I should start paying people to tell me to shut up. It's like right now.
That would help you.
Might get me more money.
And then so post the game, provide them with feedback. Tell them you were really awesome today. Like as a young 15-year-old getting told by the Premier League referee that you did a great job, like that can make your week. That can make a huge impact on their refereeing, being like, you did awesome today. Or if they've had a tough game, they've maybe made some iffy decisions, be like, next time, I think you should. And it could be, I think you should keep your flag down for a little bit longer. I think you should communicate differently. Let them know that post game. Provide them with feedback. Encourage them to continue trying to improve. So you want them to get better. And again, looking through this call, I've seen quite a few of these people in the group in the last 2-3 years get a lot better because of the encouragement and being told how to get better. You do learn naturally as a referee, unfortunately, but you learn a lot more if you get coached. Yes, Kieran, jump on.
Kieran,
Oh, sorry.
that's a new one. Thanks for that, Matt. Anyways, to all of the senior referees, don't just tell them after the game. We have comms for a reason. If you're going to override a junior referee over their calls, it can really diminish their confidence and make them feel really bad about their ability to go out there and make the calls for themselves. Instead of overriding them and not explaining why, next time you get the chance over the comms on the run, talk them through the decision and explain why it is or isn't if you're going to override them. Because I've seen so many junior referees be waved down and told no and not explained why. And then in the future, they don't make calls from the lines because you've diminished their confidence without explaining things. So if you're going to override them, have the conversation and explain why, because sometimes it might be something just as little as you've got in a different angle and what you've seen. So use the comms and use your senior authority to speak to them and explain things to them because they're still learning.
Yeah, I think the most common example of that is, and you might have it in the 12th minute. How likely are you to remember a junior AR putting up their flag too early when they perhaps could have kept it down because there was a passive versus active sort of situation, or the striker's just suddenly not played at the ball, but the flag's still gone up because the instincts have gone in. How likely is anyone to remember, at the end of the game, oh look, you just should have held off there. If you got comms, do it on the run and say, look, next time just hold off, and then they know, and then you can move on. I think that's a very good point.
Agree. And I think further to Kiana's point, it's not just young ARs or the young referee or whatever who gets, I wouldn't use the word upset, but discouraged if they get told no or whatever. Like, I mean, I was copying it last year as an AR and MPL. A referee would say no, or I'd put my flag up for a throw into the right and they go left. It can affect your confidence. So tell them why. You go, no, I saw a touch off their foot. That's why I made that decision. And that can make a big difference. And as Jack said, you're not going to remember it 78 minutes later after you've given 15 yellows and 5 reds. So tell them then on the go. That's why you've got the comms. And then finally, if they are very good or have lots of room for improvement, please let me know after the game. If I don't hear, I just assume that they're doing a goodish job. Like they're doing the job, nothing special. They're not stuffing up. They're not doing amazing. Just send a text going, wow, Matt was great this weekend. Or Matt has a bit of room for improvement. I'm not sure if Premier League's for him yet. Just a little one-liner so it goes into my brain while I'm doing appointments. So, okay, yeah, I'm not going to put Matt on that Premier League game this week. I'm going to put him doing a center instead or whatever. So yeah, let me know after a game, please. A couple of laws of the games that we need to be really strict in enforcing in the next couple of weeks. So I didn't touch on it before, but this presentation is going to the clubs as well. So clubs will be aware of what we've talked about. If they choose to read it, it's a different matter, but hopefully they do choose to read it and pass it on to their players. But we need to enforce these laws of the game strongly. First one, if a player is treated on the field, so they've gone down injured and a physio, who's often the coach or the manager, runs on to deal with them, they must also leave the field of play before you can call them back on. So what that
Hey,
looks
hey
like,
Matt, it's Craig.
yep.
Is that has that playing condition changed? Because up till the end of last season, that was Blacktown was you don't need to leave the field. I know Football New South Wales and other associations do it in either Premier League or all games, but in Blacktown it's always been the player doesn't need to leave the field.
Okay, interesting. Okay, I'll talk to the office there. I will leave this slide then, and I'll communicate to everyone clearly what the go is.
Like I agree that it should happen,
Yes.
but I've been at 2 games where both referees very experienced.
Yes.
First game, players weren't asked to leave. Second game, players were asked, and I'm not throwing Kiana under the bus, but we actually chatted about this post game on Saturday.
Yeah,
as
perfect.
part of her assessment. So, if
Perfect.
you
Sorry,
could
what did we
clarify
chat
that,
about with post game?
the players leaving the field when they were injured.
Okay, I'm going to leave this and I'm going to clarify so that we can clearly enforce it across. Because as Craig mentioned there, like I've seen it as well. Some games will do it, some games we don't. So I want to have that enforced clearly across everyone. That will be clearly communicated.
Just clarity, mate. That's like it's
just a uniform approach.
It's like a lot of stuff. Yeah, it's like a lot of stuff that the communication hasn't been anywhere near as good as it needs to be. So if it has changed, that's cool.
Yeah.
But we're potentially into like the 4th or 5th week of games this weekend.
Good one.
And no one's been.
Yeah. Well, some have, some haven't. So yeah, that's why we want clear uniform approach. I'll get back to this point later. Well, additional time.
And also clarify whether it's both reserves as well as prems or just the prems.
Very good. Yep, agree. Oh, well, all games in general. Yeah, all games in
Great. It needs to be clarified for all games at all levels, including women's and women's Premier League as well.
Agree. Perfect. So that would be
Well, women's is a Hills comp. Right. Women's is Hills rule, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Hills this year. So
women's Premier League is Hills rule, so it would be that Hills player must leave the field, and sin bin.
Yeah. Okay. That's a great point you raised there, because the way the Women's Premier League works is that it changes association each year. So last year it was Blacktown, this year it's Hills, next year it's Granville. And I know that there was some clarifications needed this weekend from everyone involved about trying to work out what regulations we're following. So I'll clarify Women's Premier League regs as well as that injury law. Moving on to additional time in first grade. So the wording in the law has slightly changed this year. Very, very, very small. There was the second last point is all that was added, but it's just ensuring that we enforce the right additional time in first grade. So allowance is made by the referee in each half for things like substitutes, assessments of injured players, wasting time, cards, drink breaks.
Hey, you just cut out.
Sorry, got me again?
Yes.
Good. Okay, I'll go from the top here again. Allowance is made by the referee, so in each half. So substitutes, assessments of injured players, wasting time, discipline actions, drinks breaks. Don't think we'll have too many VAR checks this year, but just in case. Goal celebrations. Again, goal celebrations is a common sense approach. And then anything else that includes significant delay. So I thought Jim did a really good job in his match of the rounds this Saturday, where he played 5 minutes in the second half, because there was definitely 5 minutes of additional time that was needed, because it was lost from substitutes, wasting time, injuries, all of that. So it's about ensuring that we do it in first grade appropriately. I'm sorry if you hear the yelling in the background. That's the Spartans coach is getting a bit excited out there. So just enforcing that additional time in first grade. And everyone's got sort of a different approach to it, but substitutes often take about 30 seconds. A goal often takes about 30 seconds. So using that as a guide for how you approach injury time, but it's not a uniform approach. If a player sprints off the field, that's obviously not 30 seconds lost. So yeah, common sense approach here. Yeah, and then just role of the referee. So I understand Premier League. I understand you referee the same teams and you have for ages. Everyone's got connection, and that's fine. We just need to keep ensuring that and I'm not saying we haven't, we've actually done a really good job, and clubs are happy with how the referees are going so far. Just ensuring we keep that up as the year goes on. Just keep enforcing those laws, cooperate with everyone, get the times right, fill in match reports, so anything happens, fill it in, and then you know the rest of how to referee a game. Just ensuring we keep doing it. You wouldn't have been noted, but feedback forms are not a thing this year from Premier League clubs. Some clubs are providing it, but it's not compulsory as it has been in past years. So, I mean, that shouldn't change how you referee at all, but that has changed in general. So just keep going as we're going. Clubs are happy with the first couple of rounds of how refereeing is going. Hannah, good question there. So isn't the players' fault if they're wasting time? It is their fault, but you still need to allow full stoppage time if they delay the restart of play. Appointment. So you should not be consistently seeing the same teams. The way I do appointments is that I look for the last 2.5 weeks worth of games to see where you were allocated in that last 2.5 weeks. You will not be allocated that team again in that 2.5 week periods unless there's a significant reason why. So if that does happen, please tell me straight away and a change can occur. For instance, so say I have Pons v Marion this week, Juniors versus Tigers next week. I'm not going to have those 4 teams for the next week after that. And it's important for that, for everyone. Like a makeup game, Stuart, yeah, very good point, because makeup games are occasionally that special exception, because it just depends when they reschedule when the game is, and changing appointments can be quite a difficult task. I call it a jigsaw puzzle, trying to get 18 referees slotted into the jigsaw in appropriate places. So your makeup games are often an exception to this. But just, yeah, I don't want you seeing the same teams continuously, because 1, they might not want to see you continuously, and 2, you might not want to see them continuously. So yeah, just letting me know that. Yep. Availability time. I know a lot of you have stuff on in the mornings. I get that. It's fine. But if you can be available from 12 o'clock, it does make a lot of things easier, because obviously 21's Resi's first grade goes 12 to 4. But yeah, I know a lot of you coach, a lot of you play, a lot of you have family. So I get it. But if you can be available from 12, it does make my life easier.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
I've got a question regarding that. As I play Prems and I play Premier League One, what's the situation in regarding bias? Because obviously will I be put on Premier League One games since I play first grade as well?
Yeah, no. So if you play PL1, you won't referee PL1, but you can referee PL2. So I guess Kalen has the same situation. He plays PL2. He can only referee PL1 then.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
If you're going away for an extended period of time, just let me know. If you're going away for a month on a holiday,
Hey Matt, sorry to interrupt you again. It's Craig.
Yeah, Craig.
You've just touched on a question I was going to ask later about conflicts of interest. What Luke asked and what you've said about Kalen. Can you explain what they all are?
What was that? Sorry, that last sentence?
Can you explain what all the conflicts of interest are?
Okay. This is a
So
difficult.
my conflict of interest is I have a family member plays PL1
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah, so the general rule that we're going with this year, so 21s, we're treating separately to PL1 and PL2 because there's only 13 21s this year, whereas there's 18 PL1 and PL2. So I won't touch on them. But so going into PL2, so if you play,
Going again.
sorry, I'm gonna head inside and I'm gonna get some better reception. Give me 30 seconds.
Is this added time, Matt, or are we just carrying?
Yeah, I'll give it back to you later. I'll keep you for 3 more minutes at the end.
You don't play out of time anyway, Glove.
In the game on the weekend, we really didn't want to, but we did.
Okay.
I can also confirm he didn't do any yellow cards either.
Oh, well, that's not a
Must be
surprise.
a key shortage.
I gave one yellow card on the weekend.
Oh, no, he did too. Yes, he did.
It took 89 minutes to give it, but I give one.
So no so sandwiches there, mate.
You still owe me 8.
Okay, I'm right next to the reception box now, so I shouldn't be cutting out again, but I probably will, judging by how this reception normally is. So, if you play in PL2 or your immediate family plays in PL2, you should only be refereeing PL1. Same as if you play in PL1 or your immediate family plays in PL1, you should be refereeing PL2. So I don't care if your cousin plays in PL1. It doesn't faze me. Ideally, what I would like to see is that you don't referee that team. So say my cousin plays for juniors first grade. I would personally be like, I don't want to ref juniors first grade, but you can referee other games in that because they're not immediate family.
About friends.
Same as WPL.
Same as WPL. If you're associated with a club, so let's say that I play for the Pons over 35s, you are able
Who are
to
you picking on there?
You are able to referee their Premier League. If you're on a committee, have a discussion with me on that point, because it just depends. It's beyond me. If you're on a committee, it's